Hey everyone, blessings and welcome. In this video, I will be discussing manipulators and how to stop manipulators in their tracks, especially when they are coming for you. So the thing that we should know about manipulators is that, manipulation is really about control, primarily control over you. And manipulators will use all kinds of tactics and things to try to influence you and sway you a certain way. And at the end of the day, what they are doing is not going to be beneficial to you. And actually, the game that they try to play is actually going to be harmful to you at the end of the day. So it's very, very important that we learn to identify these people. And also, the purpose of this video is to show you the things that you can do, that we all can do to kind of like be manipulator repellent, right? So, it doesn't mean, even though I share these three things, it's helpful, but it doesn't mean that these things are going to completely stop manipulators from coming into our path, because, people are going to slip in, sneak in, and, at the end of the day, there are going to be people in the world that will try to run game on anybody that they come in contact with that they think they can get over on. But I think that there are things that we can do and that we can practice that will basically help us to be manipulator repellent. Although it's not 100% foolproof, it does help, and it will help us to stay sharp when it comes to these type of people being in our environment and being able to identify them. So let's get into the things that will basically help us to stop manipulators in their tracks. So the first thing that I believe we all should be doing and that we all should have and possess is boundaries. Boundaries, values, and standards. Well, you need to understand that when it comes to manipulators absolutely hate boundaries. And the way to kind of like fish them out and to find out who the manipulators are in your life is watch how people react when you set a boundary, when you tell them no, when you kind of like push back against something that they want to do. Do they get angry? Do they blow up? Do they try to, time after time, incessantly try to get you to do something, although you told them that you didn't want to do it or that you didn't feel comfortable? What about values, the things that we value? For example, here's an example of values. I value my faith. I value my family. I value my health. Those are the things that I value. So whatever it is that you value, they don't respect values. So when you establish your values and let them know what your values are, how do they react? Once again, once they know what your values are, do they try to violate them, or do they try to come against the things that you value or try to devalue what you value? These are the things that you watch out for. Also, standards, What are the things that you stand for? What are the things that you will and will not do? Do they come against your standards? Do they try to violate your standards? Do they try to, once again, devalue your standards? So whatever it is that you establish about yourself, and this is why we need to have boundaries and know how to draw a boundary. This is why we need to know what we value, right? So if you're not clear on the things that you value, sit down and try to figure out what is most valuable to you, because it's important that you know these things, because the manipulator can kind of like sniff out and find the people who are not clear about the things that they value. And, they use that to try to get in, run game, and basically degrade you, right? So when you don't know what you value, you open yourself up to being degraded by a manipulator, right? And also standards. Do you have standards? Once again, the standards are tied into self-respect, What are the things that you stand for, whether it be, ideas, or the way that you feel about yourself, or the way that you carry yourself, and the things that you will not do that kind of like goes against your morality or your moral compass. So you have to have a firm understanding of what are the things that you stand for in life, and also drawing boundaries when you need to draw boundaries. And, like I stated earlier, the way to kind of like figure out who these people are, because they do hide in secret, and they do put on masks. So it's really important to observe how people behave when you do make your values and standards be known, and when you do draw a boundary when there's something that they're trying to get you to do that you don't want to do. Watch how people react. Do they respect it and kind of like stand down and respect, your desires and your needs, and basically the things that you that's important to you? Or do they try to run over you? Do they try to discard you? Or do they try to violate your boundary? Or although you told them no, they'll try to still kind of like prod you and nag you to do something differently, or influence you to do something differently. So these are things that you need to definitely basically have firmly set in line. You need to know what your values are. You need to know what your standards are, and know when to draw a clear boundary. So yeah, just know that the manipulator, they hate they absolutely hate the boundary. They absolutely hate when you know what your values are. They hate when you have standards. So that's a way to getting to know who the manipulators around you might be, how they react. Like a person who's not manipulating you, when you do draw a boundary, and when there is a disagreement, or they may be trying to influence you a certain way, they're going to kind of like either come to a compromise like a normal person would do, who's not trying to run game and control you. Or, they're just going to, respect it and say, okay, we're not going to do that. Or, okay, I see where you are right there. And, I'm still going to be friends with you, and we're still cool. But, but if you find that the person is blowing up and kind of like losing it because you told them no, or people sometimes they maybe want to treat you a certain way, and you're like, oh no, you're not going back to standards, you're not going to treat me that way. Just because some people get mad because they can't abuse you. Unbelievable. And there's people out there, unfortunately, that aren't well on the inside, and they will get mad because they can't treat you poorly. So just watch out for that stuff. So the first thing is, and if you want to become a manipulator repellent, is making sure you have boundaries and values and standards, and you're what they are, and you're standing firm in those things. The second thing is how to stop a manipulator in their tracks is to love yourself. Yes, healthy self-love, and to make sure that you are on your healing journey, right? That you love yourself, and that you're healing yourself. And I say healing because as we live this life, we go through certain things that are traumatic. We go through things that have injured us, certain situations, things that we've gone through in life. And sometimes we need healing from things that we don't even know that we need healing from. But if you're a spiritual person, if you're also on a spiritual path, God will reveal to you what the things that you need healing from, and He will heal you. So, also going back to self-love, loving yourself, loving who you are, accepting yourself the way that you are, right? Nobody is perfect, and we're all growing, and hopefully growing every single day and becoming better and better. That's the goal, right? I hope that's the goal for you. But love yourself, although, we're all flawed, and nobody is perfect, but love yourself. That's very, very important, because what the manipulator will do, manipulators, people who really run game and try to use and abuse others and get them to do things that they don't want to do. Manipulators look for people who have poor self-image, who have low self-esteem, people who don't love themselves, people who are broken and who are not healed. So they can kind of like, they have, like a special ability to basically seek these people out and find these people and use and abuse them, because it's easier to do that. But for the manipulator, if you're on your healing journey, and if you if you don't have high self-esteem or a great self-image, but you're improving on that every day and you're growing in that, or if you have strong self-esteem, not in a toxic, narcissistic way, but if you love yourself in a healthy way, that's going to be like repellent to the manipulator, because that's not fun for them. People who have healthy self-esteem and good self-image and who love themselves, they're just not fun for the manipulator, because they know that they can't play a game on them, right? They know that their tactics and their guilt and their shaming is not going to work, because you know your self-worth, right? They know that they can't run certain head games on you, because you kind of like, better, and you've been healed, right? And you're working on your healing, right? So it's very, very important that you are on your healing journey, and that you are working on your self-esteem and your self-image, if that's an issue for you, and that you're learning to love yourself, and that you do love yourself, because that really keeps the manipulators away, because they seek out people who are struggling in these areas, and it's easier for them to prey on people who are lonely and people who don't feel good about themselves, and they come and with their deceit, and they put on a good show, and they love bomb, and they reel you in, and then at the end of the day, then they come and they bring you down, right? They come and they take advantage. They come in and they slip in, and they play their games, and then they're using and they're controlling you, and the next thing you know, they're bringing you down. So healthy self-love and healing, these are things that will definitely keep the manipulators at bay. I mean, like I stated earlier, they'll try to slip in, but if you're in a healthy place and space, it's harder for them to penetrate and run game on you, because you love yourself. And if somebody is doing something that's making you feel bad, and you can identify that, you can identify dysfunctional behaviors, that's what self-love will do. You'll realize when you're being harmed, you're like, hey, I don't want to be treated that way. I don't treat myself that way. So we have to work on, treating ourselves better. So when people come with their nonsense, we'll know, hey, wait a minute. I'm not tolerating that. You don't get to treat me. You don't get to talk to me. You don't get to try to control me in that manner, or run game on me, or make me feel ashamed or feel bad about myself, because I love myself and I know what love feels like. And what you are displaying and trying to give to me right now, it's not love, and let me get away from you. But if you're used to dysfunction, and for some of us, we can't help it. Maybe we grew up in dysfunctional families or in dysfunctional environments. And when you have grown up that way, it's hard to sometimes see what something normal looks like, or when something is functional and healthy. But as you heal, and as we do all heal, and as we begin to love ourselves, we'll know that, when we'll be able to identify when someone is mistreating us. But if we've grown up in dysfunctional spaces and, dysfunctional families, what have you, it's kind of hard to identify when people and manipulators are mistreating us, or using us. But I'm saying, the more that you love yourself and the more that you heal, it's harder for them to get through to you, and they'll just leave you alone, because they see, hey, that's someone who is content, who is happy. And that's another thing, they don't really mess with content and happy people. They look for those who are looking for excitement and feel like they're missing things in life, and they try to fill that void. And like I said, they love bomb, and they come in and they wreak havoc on your life. So love yourself. That's the second thing. And be healed. And lastly, definitely grow spiritually. I talk a lot about this on my channel, but this is major, big time repellent to the manipulator is spiritual people. You want to be a spiritual person, because there's benefits and perks to staying connected and having God in you, and drawing closer to God, and just being on that spiritual path. Because the thing is, with spiritual people, it's really hard to fool a spiritual person, a truly spiritual person, right? It's like we can see nonsense coming from a mile away. We can see the manipulator coming from a mile away, and we can see the game that they're trying to play from a mile away. So what happens is, when we grow spiritually, our intuition and our discernment will become very, very sharp and very, very clear. And we'll be able to see through people and see through their nonsense. And sometimes we'll be able to see things even before they happen, right? So, and also we'll be able to pick up on people's energy, right? Because the thing about it is that when you're a spiritual person, you'll come to understand that people lie, people put on a good show, but energy never lies, right? So when you are more and more spiritual and you grow in that area in your life, you'll be able to pick up on people's energy right away, right before they open their mouths and they try to run the game, and right before they try to engage you, you'll be able to pick it up right away. Like, I'll take myself for an example. I could pick up on people's energy in seconds. seconds, seconds, right? And it's not about me walking around judging people. Listen, I have no heaven and I have no hell to put anybody in. I'm not the judge of anyone. But once I pick up on something about a person, and sometimes it's good things that I pick up about people, and sometimes it's bad. It depends. But if it's something, let's say, if something not great about the person, it's really for my protection. And also it may be for, and I'm just saying this to those of you out there who are very spiritual and highly discerning. If you're a highly discerning person and you're a seer like me, that gift is not really for you to judge people. The gift is really for you to pray for people, right? So you're picking that up about that individual, things that maybe troubles that people are going through, things that might not be right about a person, is really to pray for them, say a prayer and keep it moving, right? And also, it's for our protection. God will show us and reveal things to us about people. Hey, watch out for that person, right? Or deal with that person in a certain manner, because and that manner could be at arm's length, because they could be dangerous or not mean you well. So yes, definitely dedicate yourself to spiritual growth, because spiritual growth will help you identify these people, and you'll be able to see them for who and what they are, right? Sometimes when we're not at where we should be spiritually, what happens is, kind of like our vision gets blurred and we kind of like recede back into the darkness. But the closer you come to God and the more connected you are to God, and as you are going along on your spiritual path, God will bring you into the light. And when you come into the light, things will be revealed, right? And you'll be able to see the motives of people, and even the hearts and spirit and the energies of people, right? You'll be able to pick that up very, very quickly, right? I believe we all have the ability and that intuition, every single human being. But as we kind of like lean more into our spirituality and that part of us that's really core and essential, we'll be able to see more into the spirit realm and those intangible things that also matter just as much as the physical things, right? So yeah, that spiritual growth and being a spiritual person, it's hard to it's harder to fool us, right? So it's the thing about me personally is that there are many things that I've gotten wrong, and I do get wrong from time to time, but when it comes to people, I'm rarely wrong, right? And once again, it has nothing to do with me being like some sort of like special person. It's just that, I leaned into my gift, and I've decided to become in tuned. And the more in tuned you become, the quicker you can pick up on stuff and be able to, deal in the world. And it will serve you so well to continue to grow spiritually. And it has served me well in my spiritual growth and keeping certain people away from you. And also you need to know, as you grow spiritually, God will keep certain people away from you. I know some of you who may be watching may feel like, wow, there are certain people, and sometimes it may feel like people don't want to deal with you, and it may make you feel bad. And when I was younger, it used to make me feel bad, like kind of like feeling alone sometimes, when you are a person who's dedicated to God and your spiritual practice and to your faith. It may feel a little isolating especially when you come to certain environments and you find like people don't want to deal with you. Now that I'm more mature, I understand that God is keeping those people away from me because some of them do not mean me well. And when you have the light of God inside of you, people who have darkness in them, they're not going to want to be bothered with you anyway. So that's a repellent right there. And that's protection, God protecting you right there. So if you're watching this and you may feel the way I have felt in the past about, people, just know that is protection. And, just know, as I stated earlier, there's going to be some people that are going to try you anyway, and that's going to slip in and try to run a game, although they know that you might be a challenge. And some of them some manipulators like challenges, but hey, stand your ground. And as you stand your ground and as you push back on them, and they'll get tired of it. And it won't be fun or entertaining for them to mess with you, and they'll just leave you alone, right? But that's what I wanted to share with you. Those are the three things that we all should have and be doing in order to keep these types of people away from us, right? You know, have your boundaries, your standards, your values, love yourself, make sure that you're on your healing journey and continue to grow spiritually. And these are the things that will keep, some of the bad people away and some of the people that don't mean us well away and out of our environments. Won't keep everyone away, but I'm telling you from experience, it will keep a lot of them away. And it's very important that we be on our spiritual path and on our spiritual journey, especially in this day and age, because, for the most part, a lot of people are not prioritizing their spirituality. Some are, thank goodness. And if you're watching this video, you're probably one of them. But I just see a lot of the world just going backwards and things just getting worse and people not improving or trying to improve in that area. So, as a result, a lot of the world is becoming more wicked and dealing with people is becoming more difficult. So it's very important that we continue on our spiritual journey so we can be strong and be able to deal in the world and, be the best that we can be. So that's what I want to share with you. Be well, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.